There are moments in life when every visible door seems closed, every effort appears wasted, and every plan collapses before our eyes. In those moments, the heart begins to ask difficult questions. What now? Where do I go? Who can help me? It is exactly in these moments that true tawakkul is born. Trust in Allah when the path looks impossible is not a weak reaction to hardship. It is one of the strongest acts of faith a believer can perform. Anyone can trust when things are easy, when the future is clear, and when results are guaranteed. But the believer is tested when the road disappears, when the answers are delayed, and when the world says, there is no way forward. That is when the soul must choose between despair and trust. Tawakkul means placing complete reliance upon Allah while still doing everything within your ability. It does not mean sitting still and expecting miracles without effort. It means you strive, you plan, you pray, and after doing all that you can, you place the outcome in the hands of the one who controls all things. Many people misunderstand trust in Allah as passive waiting, but real tawakkul is active faith. It is planting the seed while trusting Allah for the rain. It is knocking on doors while knowing only Allah can open the right one. It is making dua with tears while believing the answer is already being written in the unseen. When the path looks impossible, Shaitan whispers fear into the heart. He tells you that you are too late, too weak, too broken, too sinful, or too lost. He wants you to believe that your situation is beyond repair. But Allah reminds us again and again that nothing is impossible for Him. The one who created the heavens and the earth does not struggle with your problem. Your financial hardship is not too heavy for Him. Your broken heart is not too complicated for Him. Your family problems are not too messy for Him. Your future is not too uncertain for Him. The problem is not Allah's ability, it is often our limited vision. Look at the story of Musa standing before the sea with Pharaoh and his army behind him. From a human perspective, the situation was over. There was no escape. The people around him panicked and said they would be overtaken. But Musa responded with words that defined true tawakkul. Indeed, my Lord is with me. He will guide me. He trusted Allah before the sea was split. He believed before the miracle appeared. This is the essence of faith. Not trusting after you see the answer, but trusting before it comes. Many people want peace before trust, but Allah often asks for trust before peace. You may not understand why something is delayed. You may not know why a door closed. You may not see the wisdom behind a painful chapter. But tawakkul means believing that Allah sees what you cannot. Sometimes what feels like rejection is actually protection. Sometimes what feels like delay is divine preparation. Sometimes Allah removes something not to punish you, but to save you from what would have harmed you later. Trusting Allah in impossible moments also requires patience. Patience is not simply waiting. It is waiting without losing faith. Faith? It is continuing to pray even when the answer seems delayed. It is continuing to obey Allah even when life feels unfair. It is waking up each day and choosing hope again. This kind of patience is not easy, but it transforms the believer. Hardship either pushes a person away from Allah or pulls them closer. Tawakkul turns pain into a bridge back to Him. There is also a deep peace hidden inside surrender. People exhaust themselves trying to control every outcome, every person, and every future event. But control belongs to Allah alone. When you truly understand this, your heart begins to rest. You stop carrying what was never yours to carry. You still work hard, but you stop worshipping results. You still care deeply, but you stop believing everything depends on you. This is freedom. This is spiritual peace. This is what happens when the heart says, Ya Allah, I have done my part. Now I trust you completely. Sometimes Allah allows impossible situations because they reveal the truth of our dependence on Him. Success can make people forget their need for Allah, but hardship reminds the soul where real power lies. In moments of helplessness, the believer realizes that no status, wealth, or human connection can replace divine help. That realization is painful, but it is also beautiful. It brings sincerity. It removes arrogance. It teaches the heart to kneel. Understanding tawakkul beyond human logic means realizing that faith does not always follow visible evidence. Human logic says, I will believe it when I see it. Tawakkul says, I trust Allah even before I see it. This is not blind faith. It is faith based on knowing who Allah is. He is Al-Wakil, the best disposer of affairs. He is Ar-Rahman, the most merciful. He is Al-Hakim, the most wise. When you know His names, trust becomes easier. You realize that even if life feels confusing, it is never random. Human logic often measures possibility by visible resources. If there is money, then it seems possible. If there are connections, then it feels achievable. If there is immediate success, then people feel secure. But Tawakkul teaches a different lens. It reminds us that Allah can create means where none exist. Arabic Rat, Arabic Zain, Arabic Af can arrive from unexpected places. Healing can come after doctors lose hope. Opportunities can appear from doors you never even knew existed. Hearts can change overnight. Situations can reverse in a moment. Allah does not need the usual path to bring His decree to life. This is why believers say, Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakil. Allah is sufficient for us, and He is the best disposer of affairs. These words are not just comfort, they are a declaration of certainty. They mean that even if the world turns away, Allah is enough. Even if the plan fails, Allah is enough. Even if people disappoint, Allah is enough. This statement shifts the heart from dependence on creation to dependence on the Creator. Understanding Tawakkul also means accepting that the answer may not look the way you expected. Sometimes we trust Allah only if He gives us what we asked for in the form we wanted at the time we planned. But real trust says, Ya Allah, I trust not only your power but also your wisdom. Maybe the job you wanted was not good for you. Maybe the relationship you cried over would have broken you. Maybe the delay is building your character before the blessing arrives. Tawakkul is not demanding your preferred outcome. It is believing Allah's choice is better than your own. The believer with true Tawakkul walks differently. Not because life is easier, but because the heart is anchored. Storms still come, tears still fall, and pain still exists. But beneath it all is a quiet certainty. Allah is in control. This certainty does not remove hardship, but it changes how hardship is carried. It turns panic into prayer. It turns fear into surrender. It turns impossible situations into opportunities for deeper faith. The path may still look impossible today. You may still be standing in front of your own sea, with fear behind you and uncertainty ahead of you. But remember, the sea did not part before Musa trusted. It parted after. Your miracle may also be waiting on the other side of trust. Not because your faith controls Allah, but because trust prepares your heart for what Allah has already planned. Beyond human logic lies divine reality. What people call impossible is often the exact place where Allah shows His power most clearly. When you stop measuring life only through what your eyes can see, you begin to understand Tawakkul. It is not denial of difficulty. It is certainty in divine power. It is not pretending the storm is small. It is knowing your Lord is greater than the storm. Faith that Allah can open closed doors is one of the most powerful forms of spiritual strength a believer can carry. Life often brings moments where every visible opportunity disappears. A person may search for work and face rejection after rejection. Someone may wait for healing while every treatment seems to fail. Another may pray for peace in the family, while misunderstandings only grow deeper. In such moments, the heart feels trapped, as if all roads have ended. Human thinking quickly concludes there is no way forward. But faith teaches something higher. If Allah wills, a door can open where there was never even a wall to begin with. People often trust what they can see. They trust money in the bank, support from people, or the certainty of a plan. But Tawakkul teaches us to trust the unseen help of Allah more than visible means. This is not because means are unimportant, but because means themselves are under Allah's control. A job interview does not guarantee provision. Allah does. Medicine does not guarantee healing. Allah does. People do not guarantee success. Allah does. Once the believer understands this, the heart stops worshipping doors and starts trusting the one who creates them. Sometimes Allah closes certain doors to guide us toward better ones. What we see as rejection may actually be mercy. A person may lose an opportunity and think life is becoming harder, while in reality Allah is protecting them from harm they could not see. A relationship may end, a business may fail, or a plan may collapse, not because Allah abandoned them, but because He is redirecting them. Closed doors are not always punishment. Sometimes they are divine redirection. Sometimes they are preparation for something greater. The story of Maryam reminds us of this truth. Alone, in pain, And in a moment of deep vulnerability, she was provided for by Allah in ways beyond expectation. When human support was absent, divine care was present. This is how Allah works. When people think there is no way, He creates a path from the unseen. This teaches the believer never to tie hope only to visible circumstances. Your provision is not limited to your current resources. Your future is not limited to your present situation. Allah can change everything in a moment. Closed doors also test sincerity. Sometimes we pray only because we want a specific result. But when that result is delayed, the test begins. Do we still trust Allah, or do we trust only outcomes? True faith says, even if this door remains closed, I know Allah is still good. This level of trust is powerful because it is based on Allah Himself, not just on what He gives. It is easy to trust when blessings are obvious. The deeper test is trusting when the answer looks like silence. Many believers have stories they once called heartbreak, but later called mercy. The job they did not get led them to a better career. The relationship that ended saved them from long-term pain. The delay they hated prepared them for maturity they truly needed. Looking back, they realized Allah was opening a better door while they were crying over the closed one. This is why faith matters so much in the waiting. You may not understand the wisdom today, but tomorrow may reveal what today hides. Faith that Allah opens closed doors also destroys hopelessness. Despair is dangerous because it quietly convinces the soul that change is impossible. It makes people stop making dua, stop trying, and stop expecting goodness. But a believer cannot afford hopelessness because hope in Allah is worship. Even when the world says finished, faith says Allah is still writing. As long as Allah is Al-Fatah, the opener, no situation is truly locked. This belief creates courage. A person with tawakkul still applies, still works, still makes effort, but they are not crushed by rejection. Why? Because they know rejection from one door does not mean rejection from Allah. People can say no while Allah is preparing a better yes. This mindset protects the heart from bitterness. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? The believer asks, what is Allah teaching me through this? Letting go of fear and holding on to faith is one of the hardest battles of the heart. Fear is natural. It enters when the future is unclear, when loss feels near, and when pain becomes heavy. Fear whispers questions that disturb the soul. Oh, what if I fail? What if things never improve? What if I lose everything? These thoughts can become chains around the heart, making a person spiritually exhausted. But faith breaks those chains by reminding us that the future belongs to Allah, not to fear. Fear often comes from trying to control what we cannot control. People fear tomorrow because they want guarantees today. They fear loss because they want permanent security in a temporary world. But Islam teaches that certainty is found not in controlling life, but in trusting the one who controls life. Faith does not mean fear disappears completely. It means fear no longer becomes the master of your decisions. Prophet Ibrahim standing before the fire is one of the clearest examples of this. Human fear would say survival is impossible. Fire burns. There is no escape. But his trust in Allah was stronger than the visible danger before him. He was not fearless because the fire was small. He was fearless because his trust in Allah was greater. And Allah made the fire cool and safe. This lesson remains powerful. When faith becomes stronger than fear, miracles begin to unfold. Fear also grows when people place too much weight on worldly outcomes. Someone fears failure because they believe success defines their worth. Someone fears rejection because they believe acceptance from people is everything. Someone fears delay because they think life must happen according to their own schedule. But faith reorders priorities. It teaches that your worth is with Allah, not with people. It teaches that delay is not destruction. It teaches that what is written for you cannot miss you. Holding on to faith means speaking hope even when your emotions are shaking. It means saying Alhamdulillah while still waiting. It means making dua after disappointment instead of giving up. It means praying Fajr with tears and still believing that Allah hears every whisper. This is not denial of pain. It is discipline of trust. It is training the soul to lean toward Allah instead of collapsing into panic. Sometimes fear comes from past wounds. A person trusted before and got hurt. They hoped before and were disappointed. They made dua before and felt an answer. Because of this, the heart becomes guarded. It fears trusting again. But faith reminds us that Allah is not like people. Human beings disappoint, Allah never fails. Human timing is flawed, Allah's wisdom is perfect. Healing begins when the believer separates disappointment with creation from trust in the Creator. There is also a quiet peace in surrendering fear. Many people spend years mentally living in disasters that never happen. Anxiety steals joy from blessings that are not already present. Faith pulls the heart back to the present moment. It says, today Allah is enough. Right now, His mercy surrounds you. Tomorrow is not yours to carry yet. This mindset does not remove responsibility, but it removes unnecessary panic. Holding on to faith requires remembrance. The more the heart remembers Allah, the weaker fear becomes. Dhikr is not just repetition of words, it is protection for the soul. Saying Hasbun Allahu wa ni'mal wakil is a declaration against anxiety. Saying La hawla wala quwwata illa Arabic Alif, Arabic Alif, Arabic Lam, Arabica reminds you that strength comes only from Allah. These words are not rituals without meaning. They are weapons against fear. Faith also grows stronger when we remember how many times Allah has already helped us. There were problems we once thought would destroy us, yet here we are. There were nights we thought we would never survive, yet Allah carried us through. Reflection builds trust. If Allah helped before, He can help again. If He opened one impossible door, He can open another. Letting go of fear does not mean life becomes easy. It means the heart becomes anchored. Storms still come, but the soul no longer drowns in them. The believer learns to stand with calmness not because they know the outcome, but because they know their Lord. Faith says, even if I do not know what tomorrow brings, I know who holds tomorrow, and that knowledge is enough to keep walking. When your plans fail, trust Allah's plan becomes one of the most difficult lessons in faith because human beings naturally become attached to what they imagine for themselves. We build timelines in our minds. We decide when success should come, how relationships should work, where our careers should lead, and what kind of future feels right. We pray, we work, and we expect life to follow the map we created. But often, life moves differently. Doors close unexpectedly. People leave. Opportunities disappear. Dreams that once felt certain begin to collapse. In those moments, disappointment can feel overwhelming because it is not only the event that hurts, it is the death of the future we had pictured. This is where tawakkul becomes real. Trusting Allah's plan means believing that His wisdom is greater than our personal expectations. It means understanding that our knowledge is limited, while Allah sees the full picture. We see today, but Allah sees the years ahead. We see the surface, but Allah sees hidden consequences. We may chase something because it looks beautiful, while Allah knows it carries pain we cannot yet imagine. A failed plan may feel like loss, but sometimes it is the greatest protection. People often think success means getting exactly what they wanted. But in Islam, success is not defined by personal preference. It is defined by nearness to Allah and goodness in both worlds. Sometimes what we want is not what is best for us. A person may desperately want a certain job, only to later realize it would have drained their peace and damaged their deen. Someone may beg for a relationship, only to later understand it would have brought long-term heartbreak. A delay, a rejection, or a sudden ending may actually be Allah's mercy arriving in a form we did not recognize. The story of Uzif teaches this beautifully. He was thrown into a well, separated from his family, sold into slavery, imprisoned despite innocence, and tested repeatedly. If someone judged his life only by those painful moments, they might think everything was going wrong. But every painful chapter was part of Allah's greater plan. The well led to the palace. The prison led to leadership. The pain was not pointless. It was preparation. This is often how Allah works. We cry over a chapter while Allah is writing the entire story. Trusting Allah's plan after failure requires humility. It asks the heart to admit, maybe my plan was too small. Sometimes we pray for a single door while Allah intends to open an entire path. Sometimes we hold tightly to one opportunity while Allah is preparing something far greater. But our attachment makes surrender difficult. We confuse our desires with destiny. Tawakkul teaches release. It teaches us to say, Ya Allah, if this is good for me, bring it near. If it is harmful for me, remove it. Even if my heart resists, there is deep peace in this surrender. The believer still works hard, still dreams, and still strives with excellence. Trusting Allah's plan does not mean abandoning ambition. It means refusing to let ambition become an idol. It means doing your best without believing your peace depends on one specific result. This balance protects the heart from destruction when life changes direction. Instead of asking, why did this happen to me? The believer asks, what is Allah guiding me toward? Failure can also become a mirror. Sometimes a broken plan reveals hidden pride, unhealthy attachment, or misplaced dependence. A person may realize they were trusting their own strategy more than Allah. They may discover they were seeking validation from people more than sincerity before Allah. Painful endings often expose what the heart was leaning on too heavily. This is painful, but it is also a mercy because it pulls the soul back to its true center. The believer must remember that Allah's no is never empty. If He closes one road, it is with purpose. Sometimes the purpose is protection. Sometimes it is redirection. Sometimes it is spiritual growth. Sometimes it is simply to bring the servant closer to Him through need and dependence. Not every wisdom is immediately visible, but trust means believing wisdom exists even when understanding does not. People who trust Allah's plan learn patience differently. They stop measuring life only by speed. They understand that delay is not denial. A blessing given too early can become a burden. A responsibility received before readiness can destroy rather than benefit. Allah's timing is part of His mercy. Just because something feels late to you does not mean it is late with Allah. He is never behind. He is precise. The miracle hidden inside complete surrender is that surrender itself changes the heart before it changes the situation. Many people think surrender means giving up, but in reality, it is one of the strongest spiritual positions. It is not weakness. It is the courage to release what you cannot control and trust the one who controls everything. The miracle often begins inside before it appears outside. Complete surrender starts when a person realizes that fighting reality only creates more pain. There are things effort can change, and there are things only Allah can decide. People suffer deeply when they try to control both. They replay the past, force the future, and exhaust themselves trying to manage outcomes that were never theirs to hold. Surrender says, I will take responsibility for my actions, but I will leave the final result to Allah. This creates emotional and spiritual freedom. Think about the heart of a person carrying constant anxiety. They fear every possibility, every rejection, every delay. They feel responsible for outcomes beyond their power. This creates heaviness. But the moment they truly surrender, something shifts. The problem may still exist, but the burden feels different. Why? Because the heart is no longer carrying it alone. It has placed it before Allah. This is why dua itself feels relieving. It is an act of surrender. The miracle of surrender is not always immediate external change. Sometimes the miracle is inner peace before the solution arrives. A person may still be waiting for healing, but they find calmness in prayer. They may still be facing financial struggle, but panic leaves their chest. They may still be grieving, but hope returns. This peace is not small. It is a sign of divine closeness. Sometimes Allah answers not by changing the storm first, but by strengthening the heart within it. Complete surrender also deepens sincerity. When a believer stops relying entirely on personal strength, they begin to speak to Allah differently. Their dua becomes more honest. Their prayer becomes more present. Their dependence becomes real. They stop performing faith and start performing faith and start living it. Hardship strips away superficial confidence and leaves the soul face to face with its need for Allah. This is painful, but it is also sacred. Look at Ibrahim when he was placed into the fire. Look at Hajar left in the desert with a child. Yunus in the darkness of the way. These were not moments of comfort. They were moments of surrender. Human ability had reached its limit. But it was in those moments that divine help arrived most clearly. Surrender did not remove effort. It revealed trust beyond effort. Many people fear surrender because they think it means losing control. But the truth is, we never had full control to begin with. Surrender simply replaces illusion with truth. It teaches the heart that control belongs to Allah alone. Once this truth is accepted, peace enters. The soul stops arguing with destiny and starts walking with faith. There is also beauty in how surrender protects from arrogance. Success without surrender can make people believe they are self-made. They begin to trust their own power too much. But surrender reminds them that every blessing is from Allah. It keeps gratitude alive. It keeps the heart soft. It prevents success from becoming spiritual blindness. The miracle hidden inside surrender is often that what we feared losing becomes the very reason we found Allah more deeply. A broken plan, a painful delay, a season of helplessness, these things can become doors to spiritual transformation. Without them, many hearts would remain distracted. With them, the believer learns what true reliance means. Surrender does not mean you stop asking. It means you ask with trust instead of desperation. It means you work without worshipping results. It means you cry, but without losing hope. It means you say, Ya Allah, I place this matter in your hands because your hands are safer than mine. That sentence alone can heal parts of the heart that years of overthinking could never fix.